guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this furry fluffy top bag. So these are the materials I'm using a zip close, a foam, the foam material and a lining, and of course my thread. So for the strap, which is the handle, I'm going to be using a leather. You can decide to use the foam material, it's optional. I usually prefer to use leather. So let's get straight to it. So I have a pattern for my tote bags, and this is 15 width by 10 height. So I just go on to place it on my fabric and I cut out. The good thing is you can decide to use any measurement of your choice. So but for this class I'm using 15 width, that's the wideness of the bag, and the height is 10. So I'll go on to close just this bottom here where is open. So by the time I close it, it's going to give me like a full cut. I did that because my material was not enough. That was why I had to cut it like this. So I'll just close that up so we can have a full, like a complete cut from top to finish. Then I go on to slit that part open. For those that are a bit familiar with tote bag, you understand. So I just slit it open. My scissors be doing this thing. So I just slit it open and it gives us a full, can you see? We have a full tote bag cut. So now I'll go on to measure the bottom. We have 11 by 3. That is the opening. 11 by 3, as you can see. So I want to cover the bottom for two reasons. One, to cover the stitch under, and two, to give it a structure. So by the time I fix it, by the time we are done with our bag, we'll have like a standing base. You understand? So I just went on to cut a plain material. I used a 2-piece, actually, it's firm, and I'll go on to sew it on that base like I'm doing. So because this material is quite, can be moving on its own even while you are sewing, you want to make sure that it's properly secured. You can try to use a pin or a glue, but if you're using a glue, make sure it's on point, like it's very accurate. So I just go on to sew. I apply oil, because I wanted it to move very freely. So I applied oil, I stitched that side, and I just stitched the other side. Mind you, I did not stitch 4 corners. I just stitched both sides, the long sides of that too. That's where I'm stitching right now. That is the only place I stitched, because we are going to cover up the other part later. So this is what we have. As you can see, it gives you, we already having like a structured base. So the next thing we want to do is we go on to cut our foam. This is what gives it a fluffy feel. So you can decide to double your foam. Depends on how fluffy you want it to be. You can decide to double it. So but I just use a 1 layer. So you cut the same width, but the height should be a bit shorter because we don't want the foam to get to the upper part of the bag. So we're cutting 2 of this. So as soon as I'm done cutting it, I'll go on to attach it on the material itself, which is this this brown material. So this is how it is. Like I said, we don't want it high, like the same length with the cloth itself, that's the fabric. So I want the top part to be just the material, you get. So I'll just go on to stitch both sides. I'm just stitching the sides. So I'll just stitch the sides all the way down. I do the same thing on the other side. I do the same thing on the other side of the tote bag. So we are going to be stitching on 4 sides, you get, right? And as soon as we are done with it, the next thing we want to do is we'll just trim out the excess foams that we have remaining. The reason you're trimming it is so that it will help you to close up your bag, and you get like a straight seam. So just trimmed it. That's one side I did. So you go on to do the other side. I think I did this off camera also, but just know that it's the same thing. There's no nothing new I did here. So I was already done fixing it. So the next thing we want to do is, at this point it's feeling very fluffy, honestly. And so you just go turn it to the other side, front side facing front side. So we're going to stitch all the way down. Make sure that this material can be folded. Make sure that it's even. Yeah, we don't want a case where after sewing you realize that your bag is shifting to one side. So that's why I said we should trim the fold by the time we are done. By the time we are closing up this side, we can see clearly what we are closing up, right? Like I would always say, it's better to go slow and achieve a very neat work at the end than to be in a place and achieve a not so nice work at the end. So I was done sewing here, and you cut out your thread, after which we go on to box. Now that opening, you see, you just want to make sure you close it up. So what we did to this side, now we are going to replicate to the other side of the bag. All right, so we are done. Then we close up this other side as well. So at this point, I'm already done, right? And I just got to close the base. So now we want to just go on to turn it inside out. So you see, right, me looking at the base is giving you a structured feel. So just turn it inside out. Be careful so your phone does not rip off, like just not here. So just push out the base, the corners and all, and we're halfway done with our bag, right? So at this point you can decide to put a bag stand if you want, or a pendant on your bag if you want. So the next thing we want to do is we'll go on to take a measurement all round of the top, like where my hand is illustrating. We'll take a measurement all the way around, so we can get our lining, we can get a material that will help us drop in. Yeah, so I just took a measurement. This is me taking a measurement, and what we got a measurement of 31. That actually it was a measurement of 30 inch when we took all around 30 and a half, but I decided to make it 31 to be on the safe side. We can always sew the extra, right? So we have 30 and a half, like you can see, but I made mine 31. So we're going to be cutting a fabric of 31 by 1.5. The height is 10 for the lining, so that your lining is not hanging inside your bag. We want our lining to drop all the way to the bottom. So we are going to be cutting, remember we have 30 and a half, but I'm using 31, right? So we're going to be cutting 30. So we are going to be cutting 31 and a half. Yeah, 31 and a half by 1.5 inch. Yeah, then we're going to cut our lining 31 and a half as well by 11 or 10 or 10 and a half. Yeah, then we cut our zip and our strap. This is basically all that we need to couple up this bag. Alright, so by the time I'm done with this, I go on to take a measurement of the strap, which I already cut, and we're going to be using a measurement of 1.5 inch. That is the width, by 30" all the way down, right? So you can make yours longer depending on how you want it or how the person you're making it for wants it. So I also get my zip clothes. So mind you, the original design of this bag, there's no zip. It's just a magnet. But I've noticed that most of the people I use zip for, they love it because it's more secured. So now for the zip, we have a width of 15, right? But our zip is not going to extend that wide. So I want my zip to be something around 11. Yeah. So we're going to be measuring 11" on our zip, then an extra, like maybe 16 or 17, because I want my zip to drop. So I'll just go on to measure my zip at around 16" thereabout, and I cut it. So that's what I'm going to be working with, right? So in our next video, I'm going to be showing you how to couple the zip, the lining, and the strap, and all of that.